Assalamu alaikum, grade 5. Welcome again to the science session. Today, inshallah, we're gonna to start the lesson number 2 in this chapter number 6. And actually, this is chapter talking about especially in astronomy. And today, we're gonna to talk about the stars. And the title for today, what is a star? So, our sun in our solar system that's considered of stars. So today we're gonna talk about what's made up the stars and what we can consider or know the size of stars and the size comparison between the stars and the planets. So in the beginning you can think about this question: what do you think the sun's surface like? So, did you think about the surface of the sun is like the surface of the earth, solid or not? So, keep thinking, and in the end of our lesson, you can answer yourself. So, you can watch this video that describing or make a imagination about keep looking about the sun. So you can see here in this video about the closer spot in the sun, closer spot in the sun surface, and you can looking about the firing or some blurring in the sun surface. Now you can see the earth and the size comparison between the earth and the sun, and actually this is called solar Thor. So the earth and the sun have a difference or bigger difference between them in the size. So now you can answer yourself about what the surface of the sun like. Now you can go to the next step. Stars. In the simple word, stars is a very large ball of bright glowing hot matter in space. That matter is called plasma. So the stars made up of plasma, that is the kinds of matter like water, gas and liquid. Stars are held together by gravity, that's called universal gravity. That's different by or our gravity here in earth. They give out heat and light, a lot of heat and light, because they very hot, because the exploring or blowing that's happening in the surface of these stars. Again, stars, simple words, that's big or large ball that's containing only hot and that give us the heat and light. So you can watch our solar system and the inner planet and outer planet. So the big star here in our solar system, the sun, this is our star, and the sun made up of fluorine and some materials that interacting together to give the heat and light. And you can see the size comparison between the Earth and the Sun. The Earth smaller, very smaller, and the Sun very large than the Earth. And this is easy for you. You can see here in this video that's explaining the difference between or size comparison between the stars in our solar system and other galaxies. So we have difference between the size in all the stars in our universe. We have stars large than 100 times as large as our sun, or 300 as large as our sun. So we can see here this, and we have here the black hole. That's different phenomena. Inshallah, we're going in grade 7 or grade 8, you can study the black hole. So now we should to know the stars and the symbol world, and what's the size comparison between the Earth and our star Sun, and the size comparison between the stars in the universe. And there is stars 100 times as large as our Sun, and 300 times. So you can now going to the Sun, or our star in our solar system. The Sun, you can see in this picture, that's made up of layers, or we scientists that's classifying the layers of the Sun to 3 layers. So the Sun has no solid surface. That's answer for the beginning question in the beginning of the lesson. The Sun has no solid surface. So what's made up of the Sun? You know now about 3/4 of the masses of the Sun made up of hydrogen. That's elements or chemical elements. Hydrogen and the symbol H. And about 1/4 is helium. So only the Sun made up of hydrogen and helium. And that's contracting together by nuclear fissions to make the energy for the Sun, or a lot of energy, or largely high energy and heating the Sun. So again, the mass of the Sun, 3/4 hydrogen and 1/4 helium. Hydrogen and helium, and this is chemical elements. The Sun has inner and atmosphere like the Earth. The inner including the core like the Earth, but the core that's in Earth that's made up of magma in Earth, but in the Sun that's made, or that's resource of all the exploring all the nuclear fissions. So the inner that's including the core, that the center of the Sun, and radiation zone, that's the limits of radiations, and the convection zone for the heating. So 3 layers of the inner. And the Sun produces a large amount of energy its core. So the core that's producing a lot or large amount of energy. So you can see here, this is a video that explaining the Sun and deeply close up spots in the Sun, and describing what's happened in the Sun surface. A lot of exploring and a lot of nuclear fissions that producing a lot of energy that's gathered by the light and heat. Every one of you that can feeling the heat from the Sun every day in the morning, and cannot seeing the Sun by some heating and a lot of light. So the Sun is our source of energy that give us the energy that's needed for planets to make to grow up the planets by photosynthesis process, and we can get the sunlight, and that's behavior and the heat of our sun that clean up our souls. So the sun have a high temperature. So do you think about the core that's resource of energy or source of energy, all the energy of the sun that have high temperature? So the cores that have 15 millions Celsius. So that's large amount of heat or temperature. So 15 millions Celsius, that's large number for the core or center of the sun. And the surface of the sun that have 5,500 Celsius, and that is large amount of temperature if we compare between the heat of surface of the sun and our health and our earth. Here in our health, if the temperature 50 Celsius or 48 Celsius, we feeling hot, a large or of heat. But in the sun surface have 5,500 Celsius. That's large number. So again, all of you now should to know what's the meaning of the sun and the sun surface and how the sun gives the energy and the light and the temperature of the core of the sun or the center of the sun called core and the surface of the sun. The core have 15 million Celsius and the surface of the sun have 5,500 Celsius. So now after we studying the made up of sun or what's the made up of inner layer, now the atmosphere of the sun including the photosphere and the chromosphere and the corona. Photosphere is that some places in the sun that's less than the other places and that's not enough or that's difference in the temperature between these places and other places in the sun, and this is called photosphere and the chromosphere and the corona. Corona, that's the radiation or convections of the heat layer that's above the surface of the sun, and that's large distance, and features in or on are just above the sun surface, including sunspots, prominence, and the solar flares. So the atmosphere of the sun that's including three places: photosphere and chromosphere and corona, and the features that's above the sun that's happen or that's made above the sun, above the surface of the sun. Number one, sunspots that places that's waiting for making exploring or making blowing by the nuclear fissions. But prominence, that's different, that above for kilometers, a lot of kilometers above the sun surface, and that's happened because or due to the nuclear fissions, and that can make that can make a lot of heat and energy. So you can watch the difference between the sun the atmosphere, photo, photosphere and chromosphere and corona, and luminance that's and the sunspots that's including the exploring in the sun, and that can make a lot of kilometers above the sun surface. So the when lobes in sunspots regions that suddenly connect, they places large amounts of magnetic energy. So what's that's causing magnetic energy? That's a large in the sunspots. this energy heats that surrounding gases, causes the erupt. What's the meaning of erupt? Erupts like exploring or big exploring that's happening above the surface of the sun into space in a large kilometers or large distance. This is eruptions that are called solar flares. Again, what is the meaning of solar flares? Solar flares, that's the due to the exploring or blurring for the nuclear fusions in the sun surface, we can watch the sun or solar flares that can make a large distance for many kilometers above the surface of the sun. And you can thinking about the temperature of this solar flares, a large temperature and a large energy that's containing heat and light, and that's happened because the nuclear visions in the sun. Now we can going to the last point in our lesson today, that's star patterns or constellations. Constellations is the some shapes in the sky that can help us for finding the location on Earth. So in the simple words like this, you listen before about the big double, letter double, that's some shapes or measuring shapes in our sky. So constellations is a group of stars that's made up or that we can show it in the night sky, only in the night. Why? Because we can see it in the day or in the sunshine. Why? Because the sun or the light of the sun larger than the light that's coming for this stars that made the pattern of this stars. And actually this is stars that have a large distance between the earth and this is stars in the sky. So again, the constellations is the group of stars which make up imagery outline and or pattern in the night sky, only in the night sky. Usually they are said to represent an animal, person, or culture in a shape when seen. So that's made up for or what's that's pattern for ancient people that help him for founding location in our earth like north, south, east, west. And this is group or that group of stars seem to make a pattern. Again, we have here that pattern, that imaginary line. We can connect it together to make the shape of the constellations, and we can watching this shape in the sky in different places. So the difference in constellations that happen in different places and different seasons in the ancient people that help them for the cropping for vegetation and the founding the locations in our earth surface or in the sea or oceans, that's founding the location or something like that. So you can watch that video that can make the summary for all what we talking about in this lesson.
Stars are gigantic balls of very hot gases that give off radiation. The Sun is a star, and while it has 1 million times the volume of Earth and seems huge, it is only a medium-sized star. The Sun gives off large amounts of thermal energy and light energy. Like Earth, the Sun has an atmosphere. The innermost layer is called the photosphere, and it gives off light. The middle layer is called the chromosphere, and the outer layer is called the corona. Solar eruptions take place on the Sun. One type looks like a ribbon and is called a prominence. A prominence leaps out of the chromosphere into the corona. A solar flare is another type of eruption and is similar to a volcano. An explosion of waves and particles erupts into space. It causes a bright spot in the chromosphere that can last for minutes or hours. A constellation is a group of stars that forms a pattern. Scientists have identified 88 constellations and have given them names like the Little Dipper. The Little Dipper contains a star called Polaris. Polaris is also called the North Star and is almost directly above the North Pole. Got it? Sure you do.
Inshallah, I got it. This is the end of this lesson, and I hope you all liked this lesson that's heavy for you. And thank you for listening, and goodbye.